Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Gap Year podcast. My name is Michelle Dittmer, and I am your host and Gap Year expert. Today's episode, I am so lucky to be here with the one and only Jack, who is coming to us from university. He is on the flip side of his gap year. And I'm so excited to talk to you today. And why don't you give a little bit of a backstory on who you are, and that
Definitely.
will kind of kick us off.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Jack Moser. I'm from Toronto, Canada, but I grew up in Saskatchewan for a couple years of my life, my peak childhood. So I consider that my hometown kind of. We'll obviously get into it more, but I took a gap year at Neuchâtel Junior College, which is located in Neuchtel, Switzerland, the French-speaking part of it, and best year of my life. Right now, that led me to come here to the University of Denver to study finance and econ. It's been a great quarter so far. I'm back online a bit, but we should be getting out of that soon, so that'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I love when we have representation from across Canada. It just warms my heart. And I didn't even know that little piece about you. So that kind of adds to the mystery of Jack and his whole story. So you mentioned that you did take a gap year and you headed over to Switzerland, but let's kind of rewind a little bit because a lot of people listening to this podcast are still kind of in that decision-making phase.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe what led you to that idea that you wanted to kind of take that extra year or take some additional time?
Yeah, so it's kind of confusing, but I'll explain it. So I graduated the class of 2020 I went to Trinity College School in Port Hope in the CISA League. I started there in grade 5, went all the way to grade 12. But the funny thing is I skipped grade 4. So I'm 2003, so I was always ahead a year. And that's another reason why that was making me think, oh, maybe I'll just redo a year at Trinity. But my dad, he was class of 1988 at Switzerland. And he took me to a little soiree event where Andrew Keeler, great headmaster, he was there in person in Toronto speaking. And as soon as he was speaking, and I knew I wanted to go and I wanted to look into it more. That was in grade 11. So I kind of knew at the end of grade 11 going into grade 12 that I wanted to go to this school. And that's when my dad brought out a big chest of all of his keepsakes and stuff from there. And I too have started my own little box that I'll show people and it'll always be with me. And yeah, I started the application around summer, and then I submitted it in maybe October of my grade 12 year, and then got accepted. Well, it's weird how they did the admissions. I did the early admission.
Yeah.
So I heard back from them within 2 weeks saying it's looking good, as they say. And then I fully officially got in November, December. And then ever since then, I've just been getting ready to head out for 2021 in Switzerland. Sorry, 2020 in Switzerland. 2020.
Amazing. So I think it's really interesting because we get a lot of people who skipped a grade somewhere in their schooling, or they have a late birthday, and so they're kind of graduating and feeling either they themselves feel a little bit young, or their parents feel that they're young, or maybe not feeling just quite ready or quite prepared for going on to university. So some people, like you said, they're thinking hey, maybe I should just do another year of high school and just be there and just do that. High school's okay. I know what I'm into, and I know the teachers, and it's comfortable. But I really appreciate that you recognize, and your dad kind of encouraged you to get out of your comfort zone. Doing another year at Trinity would have been fantastic, but it would have been more of the same. And I can imagine how much more you grew because of this experience rather than just kind of hanging out.
Very much so. I consider, when I came home, due to COVID and everything, I was only home over Christmas. And I didn't change that much according to my parents. But from January to June, when I came home over the summer, my parents were like, who are you? Like, I was a completely different person and everything. But I'm actually going back to skipping grade 4. I'm actually really glad I did it because my birthday is actually in like 2 days. So I always had an early birthday. So I didn't think I was going to take a gap year, but I'm so glad I did. It was by far the best year of my life. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, happy early birthday. That's
Thank
really
you.
exciting. I hope you're going to celebrate in style with whatever's possible these days.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Nice.
All the COVID going around, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll find fun somehow. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Awesome. Okay, so you said that your parents noticed a big change in you. What were some of the things that maybe they shared that they noticed that were different in you?
A big thing, probably the biggest thing, was independence. Is because before, when I went to Trinity, I was a day student. I'd go home to my parents every day, and then Switzerland sent me 6-hour flight, 8-hour flight across the world. And like I'm going to be honest with you, the first night that I sat down on my bed, in my pension house, I was tearing up because like I didn't think I could do it being away from home. But ever since then, I don't get homesick anymore. When I said bye to my parents to come here, I had no feelings of like sadness just because Switzerland took it all away. And another reason why I'd say independence was the biggest thing is I've always been kind of an independent person, but just never on that level. And in your pension, you either live by yourself with your family or with other people. And we only had like 3 days to pick people who we wanted to stay with. And I did not like any of the guys. I truly didn't. But now they're literally my closest friends that I die for. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go by myself. And I got this amazing family. Absolutely ridiculous. They're the best thing. I fully was crying when I said bye to them to leave. I still am in chat with my madame practically all the time. She wished me a happy birthday, but that's not yet. So it's really funny and stuff. But yeah, and just going to school and having not technically being a part of their family. So I could really leave whenever. And the public transit there is ridiculous of how good it is. It's the Swiss. So of course it's like exactly when it's there. And I just take a bus to go over to my buddy's house for dinner. We'd go out to this nice fondue place and just, walking up my street hill, the lights would turn off right at 12, and our curfews on weeknights, weekends were 1:30. So every night I'd have to walk up in the pitch black, and I used to be terrified of it. Well, when I was younger and stuff, and that just the first time I looked at it, I was I'm not walking up there because it was pretty scary. But now I'm perfectly fine with everything, and it just really made me a much more independent person.
And I think something that
I even noticed it.
Yeah, something that you touched on there, which comes part and parcel with some of these larger experiences, is you realize that you're more capable than you think you ever were. When you're talking about being scared or being unsure or being on your own for the first time, when you push through those things and when you challenge yourself, all of a sudden you're like, man, I can do it.
There was a big event. Not event, but scary situation that thankfully didn't happen, but just stuff with the local people there on graduation night. And my friend and I, we took charge of it all and made sure everything was fine. And that's when I really realized that's when I realized that I was an adult. That's when I realized that I fully just out of nowhere took charge, made sure everyone was okay and no one was getting hurt or anything. Not the best night, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the most fun night, but I'll never forget that night. But yeah,
a rite of passage, we'll call it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I think becoming an adult is such a foreign concept. Like it doesn't just happen overnight. Like you think you're a kid and then all of a sudden you're a grown up. Like that just doesn't happen. But all of these,
it really happened for me over the year, like within that year. And then it was that night, like it was 4 days before we left, and that's when I realized like I'm an adult after like dealing with that.
yeah.
Because I never thought like I that type of person that would deal with conflict and everything, but I was fully able to and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's all of those skills that you picked up through your experience heading over to another country and living on your own and learning to get along with your host family and all of these other characters that were part of the journey.
Yeah.
So can you fill us in a little bit on like what the day-to-day looked like? Like, can you paint us a picture
Yeah, definitely.
that would look like?
So our school was right beside the train station, so kind of in the heart of Neuchâtel. And there wasn't, so for starters, just to give background information, usually the classes are around 70, 80. We were only 38 because of COVID and everything. So the majority of the time, a lot of people are living by train. They have to go in and it's like a 20-minute train ride. But they all really just chose the families that were in the city. So we only had to take buses and stuff. So I don't know. I lived, so I'll explain a fall day and then a winter day, spring day, because they're very two different for the traveling. So the fall day, I would get up around, classes start at 8 and the majority of days, so you have 5 blocks a day. And you only have 3 classes each. So usually you have 2 free blocks and they're like an hour and 20 each. My fall schedule was really bad. I always had to be there at 8 a.m. and I couldn't leave until 4 because that's when it ends. I never had like a late start or like an early ending.
Yeah.
That kind of sucked, but it was fine. So I'd wake up around.
You were in Switzerland, so
Yeah, exactly. I'd wake up every morning and look across the lake to see the mountains and everything. So I can't really complain.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to remember. I think I would wake up around 6:45 every day and just shower, get ready, and eat, and then leave the house around 7:30 to walk down to we had a train station in our town, and out of the 38 of us, around this one roundabout that led off to like 5 different streets, there was 13 of us all in this one area that were all walking in. So I was in a great spot. And we'd always all take the train together, especially these 3 girls who became like my best friends. I would always like meet them at their place because I was further up and I walked them down, and we'd go to the train station, and it was maybe like the train would leave at 7:48 and get to the train station, which is right beside the school, at 7:52. So it was a really fast train because it wasn't far at all, and it was great. Just the problem was the walk for me. It was like a 15-minute walk. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like then school would start at 8, first period, second period, third period. Yeah. And then we would have lunch and then 2 more periods. And that would take us to 4. I might be forgetting like a break somewhere or something. I'm not sure. But that was the full day, and then we'd take the train back. Usually my buddies and we would stay at the school for a bit, get some food and just like do our homework at the school, and then leave around like maybe like 5 or 6. But then halfway through the year, the train went under maintenance, so we couldn't use that. But there was this bus there was 2 buses, one that was like wasn't on our street, on the main street that you walk down to. And then there was this one bus coming from a mountain village that came down my street. And that bus came to my stop at 7:31 when like other people, so I didn't have to walk at all. It was right in front of my place. So the timing never changed for me because I'd always leave my house at 7:30. But for example, for like the 3 girls down the street, they were only a 5-minute walk from the train station, and they had to now wake up like 20 minutes earlier to get that bus.
Right.
Because that would like leave my place at 7:30 and get there at 7:50. So it was very different. It would pick them up at like 7:32.
Right.
So it never really impacted me. but it just impacted a lot of other people for that train. But I was fine with that because I didn't have to really walk anymore that far. But the walk was also great. It was up like this nice little cute town hill and stuff. But yeah.
And can
yeah,
you?
So
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say that the days were fine. They were a bit long, but we had our breaks and stuff where even for like just sitting there for an hour and 20, you get bored very fast. And the classes were fun. Like I enjoyed all my classes, so it wasn't terrible.
Yeah. And just for clarity's sake, for anybody who's listening, the classes were in English?
Yes, it was an Ontario curriculum.
Yeah.
In English, and all of our teachers were Canadian who were all like living there, and the majority of them were in like their like 50s and 60s, like teaching just for like where they would retire and stuff, just to like, you know, teach in Switzerland for another year. Like my English teacher, she went to Oxford and taught at Oxford, and now she ended up teaching in Switzerland. And I asked her why, and she just said because she wanted to. Sound fun, which it is. And like the teachers, you have like a real connection with them, especially our class because we were so small. Like I loved the teachers there. They were super great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's so neat to know that there's a Canadian curriculum halfway around the world with Canadian teachers. So if you do need it for university admissions.
Yeah, even our French teacher, she was from Quebec. Like she wasn't even from Switzerland. She was from Quebec.
Perfect. Well, can you paint us a little bit of a picture of Neuchâtel, Switzerland for those who aren't familiar with it? What is the town like? What is the country like?
Yeah. So definitely definitely Neuchâtel would be the third biggest city in Neuchâtel. It'd probably be Zurich. I mean, in Switzerland, it would probably be by far Zurich, then Geneva, and then probably Neuchâtel. And it's so the train station's kind of at the top of the hill, and then you go down, and it's called Place Purie, and that's where all the shops are, all the restaurants, all the buses, and everything like that. That's like the main village, and that's maybe like a 10-minute walk from the train station, which is where like the University of Neuchâtel was there as well. And then it's on the lake. It's on Lake Neuchâtel, which is the biggest lake that's fully in Switzerland. And the top where this train station was, and like Place Purie was down. So like the train station was at the top, and then it went down towards the lake, and then Place Purie was kind of over here also on this level and everything. And there's like, so I played for the junior B team there, just because why not, for hockey and stuff.
Yeah.
And the arena was right on the water and stuff, and there's a funicular that can take you down, that's like underground. And like it's a cute town. It's a decent size. And then you like go out like maybe like 20 minutes, and that's when you start getting into like the smaller like villages, and that's where I lived. There's not much to it, but it's like as soon as you move past the train station for going up, because it's right on a mountain, you can drive 5 minutes and you're in the middle of nowhere. Like that's how fast it changes there. It's just barren farmer fields and everything like that. And it was maybe only like an hour drive from the French border, so we were like northwest and stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like an amazing place to spend a year.
Definitely.
So you said like this was like the best year of your life and completely changed who you are as a person. Tell me more about that, because I think that's super interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to be brutally honest, because that's what people want to hear. I did not have that many friends in Canada. I was not so considered popular. But in Switzerland, I really just like found that like I fully belonged in everything, and I met my best friends there who I'm still in contact with all the time. And I always see the Toronto people around because we just go and hang out. And this summer, my like 5 closest guy friends were all getting together probably in like Montreal and everything, and we're just gonna have a great time for a couple weeks. So we're planning that out right now. Like it just opened me up so much. Just I can't really explain it better than it just changed my life forever. And if you ask anyone that ever went there, they'd say it changed their life in some way and everything.
Yeah, I think it's such a monumental thing to be able to do, not only to gain the confidence from moving halfway around the world and doing school and building independence and creating really strong relationships with the educators,
Exactly, yeah.
with your host family, with your host siblings, with all of these other people that have this shared experience, because everybody else walking down the road has no idea what the world is like in Neuchâtel, and you guys have this incredible bond because you have such an incredible shared experience and you went through so much together that it really creates like a brotherhood and a sisterhood and like a whole new family.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with that. Like even my dad, like there was this one girl in my class, her uncle was in the same class as my dad.
No way.
And when my dad, with both of them kind of recognized both of our last names, and they're like, oh, do you know Mark? And they're like, oh, do you know Doug? And everything. And like, they still are like buddies and everything. Like my dad's business lawyer was his roommate from Switzerland. So it's like, I'm always going to have these people in my life and I never have to worry about losing them.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful, especially like right now when we're recording this, we're in kind of the height of we're still in the pandemic, and that sense of connection I think is so important to us as human beings, to find a place of belonging, to find a place where we can fully be ourselves and just get people on a really deep level. And I think one of the things that was really impressive from Neuchâtel Junior College was that they were able to function even in the pandemic. And I think that really is a tribute to how careful they are, how well organized they are, how safe they are, and the way that the program is set up there.
Yeah, not just speaking on that, not a single one of us tested positive the entire year. Not any of us. Just the one thing that I will speak to that, it's a positive and a negative. So in Switzerland, obviously you can travel very easily to all different countries around. And we're supposed to go on multiple school trips to Germany, to Austria, Poland, France. There was like a service trip in Africa over Christmas break and everything, but we only got to go on one because then all the borders shut down. We got to go to Munich at the beginning to see like Dachau and everything, the concentration camp.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool and stuff, but then we didn't get to leave the country really ever again. But as all of us would say, and our headmaster would even say, that we saw more of Switzerland than anyone else, because if you name any major town Switzerland, I guarantee you I was there, because of the amount of independent travels we got to go on, and just like ski trips, like, and just like random, just hop on a train Saturday morning, come back Saturday night, just literally just go wherever. But I remember this one time, one of my friends and I, we literally just went like, closed our eyes and went like this on a ticket booth to see where we were going for the day.
That's awesome.
Like,
what an adventure.
Yeah, it was great, because the trains, just like the buses, are great there and everything.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that North Americans don't really understand, how good public transit can be.
Oh, yeah, after being in Toronto with the TTC, and then after Switzerland, like Switzerland has the best in the entire world. They're amazing with it.
Yeah, I think it's just super cool to hear of your experience, and some of those things that you're really gonna take away. Do you have any other kind of key takeaways from your time there, or any other major highlights that you want to share?
Probably the best week was when we got to go to Zermatt, which was our spring break. Mm-hmm. Everyone got like 2 weeks off, and we all like booked Airbnbs differently and stuff. And like, you know, we're all in the town together, so we were all like seeing each other during then and everything, and like running into each other while we're skiing. But that was amazing, because I've been skiing my whole life, and that improved my skiing by 5 years of experience. And like my two closest friends, they never skied before, so I got the joy of teaching them how to ski in Zermatt. So that was really fun. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that beats the pants off of learning how to ski
Yeah.
on a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, what crazy adventures. And I know that that box that you've put together with all of your keepsakes and your memories is just going to keep all of those things alive for you. And you're going to be telling your kids and your grandkids,
Exactly. Yeah.
just like your
Yeah.
dad was telling you. And that family tradition might continue on.
I hope it does. I hope it does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's also probably something that you're going to share very special with your dad as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sadly, usually the parents go over there 3-4 times, but they couldn't go over there once. And my dad was like the most sad out of anyone, because and him and I some nights will just chat about oh, do you know like this bar, like is it like, my dad would be like, is that still there? I'm like, oh no, that's the casino now and everything. Like, I know exactly where you're talking about. But my parents have promised me, because my mom also really wants to go, and my sister.
Yeah.
We all made a promise to each other, in the next couple of years we're going to go back over the summer, and I'm going to take them around Switzerland, and like I'm going to see my family again, and the school, and just everything like that. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario for COVID. And I think that you were extremely lucky to be able to get over to Switzerland and still have an international experience when so many people were housebound here in North America. And although you missed out on some of the routine things that Neuchâtel Junior College offers, and that will come back once COVID is over, you still had a very memorable year. And that's...
Oh, yeah. Like our headmaster said, we were one of the best classes we've ever had, because one reason is because there were so few of us. We were all really close together, and we never really like hated each other. Like normal high schools, there's always people who you hate. There's people who we like didn't want to hang out with, but there was only maybe like a couple. Like, yeah. But yeah, we were super close, and like people who I never really even hung out with on weekends who live in Toronto, I saw them like 4 times over, just like, because like how you were saying, we all are connected now because of this grand experience.
That's amazing. Now, if there are people listening or watching this episode, and maybe they're in grade 12 making some life decisions, do you have any advice for them, or advice you would go back and give yourself in that position?
I'm taking this from Nike, but just do it. Like, if you're contemplating it, do it, especially if it's Neuchâtel Junior College. Like, I have no other words for it except just like, go to NJC. Like, trust me. Like, you can take my word for it, anyone who's listening, but trust me, it's gonna be amazing.
That's awesome.
And the advice I'd give myself would just be, keep your head up. Things obviously get better and everything. Because like also during that time, my parents were going through health problems. My mom had stage 4 cancer, lung, liver, colon, and my dad had a heart attack. Both of them are still with me to this day, which is amazing. They're the strongest people I know. And just like, even through that, everything's better now. So just like, if times are tough, which we all have tough times, I had tough times all through high school in Canada. It gets better. And just, if you have the opportunity to go somewhere like Switzerland, do it. Just go head first, go in.
Yeah, I think it can be scary for some people to be.
Oh, yes. No, I fully agree with that. Like, it was scary for me. Like, the day that I was leaving, I was like, our flight, because we did a night flight, my flight was at like 5 o'clock that day. And just that entire day, I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I was second guessing
butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah. And when my pension mother, who's literally one of the greatest people I've ever met. She heard that she came to check on me when I first settled in, because I just got in, said hello, like toured the house, sat down on my bed and started like looking like I was upset and everything. She came in and just sat on my bed and put her arm on my shoulders.
Aww.
And from then on, I knew that like, okay, this year's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Because even when I was there, I was contemplating it. Like I was thinking, oh no, this is not for me, but I would have, like, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't go, because it just changed and made me such a better person.
I love it. I love these stories, and this is why I do what I do, and I try to encourage people to take gap years, because you could have missed out on all of that if you had chosen to just go into university, or if you had chosen to do another year of high school. You would have missed out on a lot of that enrichment and a lot of that adventure in those friendships. And so I'm so glad that your story ends with a happy ending, like 99.9% of gappers. And I just want to thank you for sharing your story with us today, and for joining us on the podcast.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you very much.